Donald Trump is in retreat. Today is a perfect example of that with first firing of a high-profile cabinet member. He's in retreat places like Minnesota because the steel spine of citizens that stood up, real patriots in this country, pushed back against all that. You know, and you're seeing it globally, and it's, again, you're exactly right. That's why Trump is acting out as he always does. Weakness masquerading as strength. This notion of weakness has marked a lot of my frustration. And I'm not here to, and this is not, I'm not trying to bash my party. But this time...
Sometimes it's necessary.
But this time last year, I was worried. You may have felt differently. You may have said, we got this. But I didn't feel that this time last year. I did, you know, Jack, right after Trump was elected, I got a lot of criticism from members of my own party because I did a special session of the legislature to prepare, they referred to in the press as Trump-proofing California. And that wasn't the frame I used, but I understood that frame in the context of having understood Trump and Trumpism 1.0. I was there, and we write about it in the epilogue briefly. This is not a book about my governorship. But in the epilogue, I write about a story that Jack was referring to and a little bit about Trump and how I met him during my transition. For the first time, I was on Marine One, Air Force One. By the way, there's some good stories here. As he's taking me on the royal tour of the plane into his bedroom. And a lot, I'm just saying.
He's got a crush.
There's some interesting stuff here.
You and Zoran, you
yeah,
could really get him.
I know, I got to talk to Zoran. I know how this love story ends, Zoran, but... But we did that, and people said, well, you just, you know, that's a closed fist, not an open hand. I said, well, it's not about that. I hope we don't have to use any of the money we were doing. We did a supplemental appropriation for litigation. We just announced I think it's our 60th lawsuit against Trump. I don't think there's been, 60 weeks since he's been elected. It's code red. It's not blinking yellow. It's code red. You've seen it. This guy, I was down on this book tour. We kicked it off down there in Atlanta, and it was, met with the commissioners down there in Fulton County. Yeah. I mean, he's going to take over that commission so he can manipulate and manage the outcome, one of the most critical swing districts in the United States for the election this November. We saw what happened on Election Day in California last November when we had an initiative on the ballot, Prop 50, sent out BORTAC teams. These are the Border Patrol tactical units. The guys dressed up, right out of, this is the Apache helicopter guys. And they were all sent out to Dodger Stadium the morning of the election to send a message to our diverse communities. You may not want to show up to vote. Trump sent out on Truth Social that morning, the election was rigged, sent out election monitors from the DOJ, Pam Bondi, who the next day announced the election was rigged, and they observed it, went to the Supreme Court. They are not screwing around. He wants to federalize the election. He says he wants to nationalize it one day, just 15 states elections because of the corruption. What's the SAVE Act? That's not about ID. It's about registration. It's about who gets to vote, who doesn't get to vote. They are not screwing around. We will lose this country. But first, we cannot lose our minds over this shock and awe. And so I just want to long-windedly, sort of back to the introduction here, just thank you all for being here as the antidote to all of that, because you wouldn't be showing up if you'd given up. You wouldn't be here for yourselves and for each other and for this conversation if you had given into the cynicism, fear, and anxiety. So thank you.
Subscribe to Oneindia and never miss an update. Download the Oneindia app now.